Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of the Parking Lot Preview. Today, it is Tuesday, July 16th. I'm Matt Coates alongside Mike Maynard, my co-host. Mike, welcome back. Yesterday, we had an off day. I kind of wish we didn't because the day before that, a thrilling game for the Hawks, Mike.
Electric game for the Hyannis Harbor Hawks, coming away with a win against the YD Red Sox. A walk-off victory. Dalton Bargo decided he wanted to take the team to the promised land. Comes away with a big hit in the bottom of the ninth inning to take the lead and walk away with a win. Single through the left side. A lot of good at-bats led up to his at-bat there. 6-5 win over the first team in the Eastern Conference. So a big win for the Harbor Hawks, playing another Eastern foe tonight. But like you said, off day yesterday might have cooled the Hawks down. Well, the Hawks are hot right now. Don't want to cool them down too much. But hopefully the off day was a good reset for health reasons, get the arms ready, get everybody having a good time, confidence, all that type of stuff. Team morale hopefully will be up from the off day today.
For sure, that was such an amazing game, and that's why you don't want the off day, because the Hawks are hot, like you said, but hopefully they remain hot through that off day. Today, though, staying in the Eastern Division with our opponents, we're playing the Brewster Whitecaps. We hold a 14-9-1 record. They host an 11-3 record, putting us each at third place in our respective divisions. So far, Mike, this season, it's an all Hawks in this series matchup.
Yeah,
2-0 versus the Whitecaps.
2-0. That's good. I mean, you look around. There's not a lot of teams that we're undefeated against at this point in the season. Bruce, we haven't seen in a little while though. It's been a little bit, so we'll see if things have changed. But it's definitely been a good matchup for the Harbor Hawks on that side of things, and Brewster's obviously looking to bounce back in this one.
Yeah, Mike, you said it's been a while. Since June 29th, that was the last time we played the Brewster Whitecaps. In that game, Blake Cavill's first game as a Harbor Hawk, as well as Jackson West's first game as a Harbor Hawk. Those guys have been mainstays in the lineup since then. So interesting to see what that team looked like way back then. And it's been two high-scoring affairs, Mike. A 10-4 victory very early in the season for the Harbor Hawks, and a 12-7 victory recently. So hopefully today we keep that winning streak against these Whitecaps going. Maybe put up a lot of runs again.
We've seen the Harbor Hawks able to put up a lot of runs, but also win those tight, close games. We mentioned the game against YD just a few days ago. 6-5, not necessarily a high-scoring game, but about an average game there offensively, but still able to come away with a win. So even if the runs aren't coming as much as they have in those first two games against Brewster, should look for another Harbor Hawks win hopefully tonight.
For sure. Mike, you mentioned it, that 6-5 victory against the YD Red Sox. We have to go back to it. It was such a good win. I started the episode with it, but now it's time that we really break down that game. Mike, what a nail-biter. When we got to those latter innings, it's one of those things where you're like, damn, this is a tough one that we might lose. But the Cardiac Hawks came back. Name that we used a lot more last year, a lot of resilient efforts and comeback victories in last year's team. But this year, we're starting to see it more and more. Like you said, Dalton Bargo, big walk-off there. Mike, talk about the base running from Nick Groves on that play. It was no easy task for him to get to second and score.
Yeah, Nick Groves starting at second base, as you mentioned, with the bases loaded there, comes around on that throw, and really it was a perfect throw from the outfield, from the left fielder, making it right to home. It was right on the money. Catcher had it right there, and Nick Groves got there just in time to basically just knock the ball loose. And, if the catcher was able to hold on, he probably would have been called out because the tag was there. But Nick Groves, as you mentioned, really had to dig for that one, rounding third, got home just at the nick of time, because if he was there a second later, I guarantee you that catcher might have had a better handle on the ball. And I believe the catcher actually, looking back, now that I think about it, had it in his throwing hand, didn't he?
He may have.
Mistaken?
That could have been a different game. I know the catcher did that at some point. I'm not sure if it was that game.
We've had a couple games recently that have come down to the wire with some tags at home, but regardless, a great effort by Nick Groves to really use his speed. A lot of this Harbor Hawks lineup has used their speed in a lot of different ways to create runs and create wins. But these outfielders, especially having three guys that basically play center field, constantly out there in the outfield, it really pays off in the outfield defensively, but also on the base paths, which have been a huge factor in a lot of games and was definitely a huge factor against YD a few days ago.
For sure. Mike, you talk about how we have essentially three center fielders roaming the entire outfield. One of those center fielders continued his amazing season on Cape in our game just 2 nights ago. That's Kane Kepley. He had 3 RBIs, has been here since day one, has been basically our leadoff guy since day one, and he's such a phenomenal piece to this team. Under different circumstances, I think it's safe to say he would have won player of the game last game against YD Red Sox. Dalton Bargo with that heroic effort there to get that clutch hit gave him player of the game. But Mike, Kane, man, you can't say enough good things about him.
No, yeah, he's been perfect in that leadoff spot, walking at a super, super high rate. Another guy that has that speed to, I believe he's leading the team in stolen bases and walks. So he's getting on base at a high clip, but then also creating extra scoring opportunities by stealing bases, getting to second, getting to third, and getting runners in scoring position, and allowing his teammates like Dalton Bargo to drive guys in. Ends up coming away with a lot of runs scored as well. So he's been huge in this lineup. But 3 RBIs, as you mentioned, against the YD Red Sox. It's not just scoring runs himself. He's also driving them in at the plate. He's really just become an all-around great player. Even showed some power, lasting a home run a few games ago. He's really become an all-around five-tool player, playing great defensively, offensively, and great on the base pass as well. He's been a treat to have in this Harbor Hawks lineup at the top of it, as you mentioned, so far to start this year.
For sure, Mike. Like you said, he does great getting on base, averaging over a walk per game, which is just phenomenal considering the quality of opponents we face here in the Cape Cod Baseball League. That being said, let's move on to Brewster's last game. Wasn't yesterday. They also had an off day. But Mike, talking about their 10-8 victory over the Falmouth Commodores.
Defeating the Falmouth Commodores. Falmouth not necessarily having the season that they were looking towards, but Brewster still coming away with a win in that one nonetheless. 10 hits and 8 walks. That's a lot of runners on base.
Yep.
A lot of things that the Harbor Hawks have done as of late, getting runners on base. Brewster's able to show that. Another guy from Florida State, though, we've talked about these Seminoles. Talked about Jackson West earlier, talked about Alex Lodiz. Drew Farut. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. Sorry, Drew, if I'm not. He did well offensively, going 2 for 4, 3 RBIs and a walk. So a lot of these guys for Brewster getting on base. We mentioned it, 2 high-scoring games between these two teams, the Harbor Hawks and the Brewster Whitecaps, their first 2 games. So the Brewster Whitecaps coming off a big game for them offensively. Surrendered a lot of runs again, though. 8 runs for them. And also getting the off day. Maybe they reset. Maybe they cool down. Who knows? It's going to be interesting. We've got a beautiful day today. You can hear the wind picking up. Hopefully our microphone is staying strong. But regardless, excited for some baseball today. Excited for a good game between 2 good teams.
Yeah, hopefully this cool breeze cools off the Brewster Whitecaps. They're on a 2-game winning streak of their own. Hopefully we can slow them down. A guy who could do that, Mike, a guy who could aid in slowing down these Whitecaps, Kieran Cahy, making his first start, Mike. Tell me about him.
Yeah, first start for him, the 6'1" right-handed pitcher out of Kent State. 42 innings pitched at school, just around a 6.2 ERA, 53 strikeouts, and 18 walks. Only has 1 Cape appearance so far. He's a newer guy to this Harbor Hawks organization. Got 3 innings pitched so far out of the bullpen. Didn't get a start, as you mentioned. With 2 strikeouts, 2 walks, and a 1 flat whip, and a 3 ERA, if I didn't mention that already. So he's got a little bit of experience under his belt. Got 42 innings at school. We'll see what he can do out of a starting situation here tonight. Haven't seen that out of him yet, but hopefully that creates some comfort of, you know what, okay, I know I'm going to get at least, X amount of time, X amount of innings to at least try to get my work done. And, it's different, obviously, starting compared to coming out of the bullpen. You have a different game plan coming into the game. So hopefully that leads to success for him tonight. But Kieran Cahy, definitely a guy that we like to hopefully have a big game. I mentioned it a few days ago when we had the parking lot preview. Saw Jackson West at Katie's getting that large cotton candy ice cream. Guess who was with him? Take a wild guess.
I think it's going to be our starting pitcher for tonight, Mike.
It's going to be our starting pitcher for tonight. Kieran Cahy. I don't remember what he got for an ice cream. Unfortunate. It was a good week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. But regardless, he seems to be liking Cape Cod. Going over to Katie's, getting some ice cream. Shout out him for that. I was there getting ice cream as well. Love to see it. Hopefully the ice cream leads to a good pitching performance on the bump tonight.
I hope so, Mike. On the other side of the mound, going to be another guy to look out for. A guy from Vanderbilt University, great academic institution, but also known for its great baseball. That's Luke Guth, 6'1", right-handed pitcher. He's a Vandy boy. Right now on Cape, he's approaching his innings he pitched at school this year. 18 1/3 innings pitched at school, 14 1/3 innings pitched so far on Cape. So, Mike, those 14 innings, that makes him a Cape veteran at this point.
Honestly, yeah, I'm not sure there's a lot of Harbor Hawks that have that many innings pitched. There's a few here and there, but that really shows that Brewster really trusts this guy, and he's obviously been with the team since the beginning of the season, had a lot of success, and they keep throwing him out there because he's having success. We talked about a guy, Jason Reitz, who got released from YD after 1 start, didn't like what they saw and just got rid of him. Luke Guth right here. Guth, I don't know. We got some tough names today. Luke, though, he's had some success, obviously, been able to stay in this Brewster organization, stay in their pitching rotation. And like you mentioned, he's had a good amount of success so far, catching up to his Vanderbilt numbers, and the guy from Vanderbilt, 6'1" right-handed pitcher against a 6'1" right-handed pitcher tonight. That's an
Wow.
interesting matchup in itself. Two good guys that have had a good amount of experience at school and on Cape, but it's going to be different. Kieran not having that necessarily veteran presence in that pitching rotation that maybe Luke does have tonight for the Brewster Whitecaps.
For sure. When we look deeper into those numbers so far on Cape, a 4.4 ERA with 15 strikeouts and 5 walks allowed over those 14 innings. Nothing that's going to jump off of the page. It's a guy, fastball sits around 91 to 93 miles per hour, works inside, outside, up and down, all over the plate. Something that we should be looking out for today. Should be a good pitching matchup here. Experience versus a lack of experience, quite frankly. Lack of experience being on the Harbor Hawks side tonight. Hey, not necessarily what you always like to see, but I trust our guys tonight.
Well, it doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be worse because of that. It just means he might have a little bit more jitters, maybe a little bit more anxiety, stress about the situation. But I think a good first inning for Kieran will set him off on the right track and hopefully lead to a good start tonight. Overall, it's going to be interesting because Kieran does have that more experience at school. So that, does play a factor as well. But overall, like you said, good pitching matchup. We've seen two high-scoring games between these two teams, as we keep mentioning. So we'll see if it prevails tonight. Maybe the pitchers have a good game. Maybe the hitters continue what they've been doing against each other. We'll see.
For sure. With that being said, Mike, let's move on to not the last segment, because we added a last segment. One of the last segments. That's going to be our player of the game predictions. I'm going to let you go first here.
I'm going to go with a man. You mentioned him earlier. You mentioned his name. Haven't heard his name a ton recently. That's Blake Cavill. Gosh, darn it. I'm struggling with names today. Blake Cavill, coming out of Australia, Western Kentucky, now in the portal, looking for a new home. Played with the Savannah Bananas. This guy's all over the place. He's had a lot of success in a lot of different places. One of those places hasn't really been the Hyannis Harbor Hawks so far. Only one hit to this point. Coming against the Brewster Whitecaps in his first at-bat with the team, went yard over to right field. We're not at Brewster, so I'm pointing into nowhere. But Blake has been with the team for a little while now. You mentioned it since that last Brewster game. Him and Jackson West got their first games there. Hasn't really been having as much success as of late, but he's in the lineup tonight, playing first base. Familiar opponent. He had success against Brewster last time. Maybe he sees those jerseys and he goes, you know what? I'm gonna have another good game tonight. That's what all I can go with. It's a gut feeling. I like Blake to have a big game tonight.
I love that, Mike. I hope he goes out there. Maybe he's just a Whitecap killer. You never know.
Maybe.
Hey, hopefully we see that tonight. I'm going to go in kind of the opposite direction, and you'll see what I mean. I'm picking Anthony Silva. He's a guy who had a reverse split. Started his Cape career a bit slow. Not what he wanted, only 3 hits through the month of June. But since then, he has really picked it up. And I think he's going to continue that hot streak as of late, and he's going to be phenomenal tonight. Last time he was in the lineup, I believe, he had a grand slam and a triple all in one game. So I think he's back in the lineup today. He's in the infield. He plays great defense always. I think he's going to play great offense to top that off.
Love it. Can't complain. Love the pick.
That being said, Mike, let's go to the new last segment. Score predictions. Official score predictions. We've teased it a bit, guys. High scoring matchup so far this season against the Whitecaps. Mike, are you ready or you want me to go first?
I can go for it. I don't think it's going to be as high scoring as we've seen. I do think it'll be somewhat average scoring game. I'm going to go 7-4 Harbor Hawks tonight. They've had success against Brewster. I like Kieran on the mound. I like Blake to have a big game. I think that put up 7 runs, that's pretty good. That's solid for the Cape Cod Baseball League. And surrendering 4, it's also solid. I like that for a game tonight that could go many different ways. But I think that is kind of where the middle ground stands. I like that for being tonight's score prediction. You can look it.
Mike, I like it. But I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say it is going to be high scoring again. But only really high scoring on one side. It's going to be a 13-5 victory for the Harbor Hawks. We're going to be flirting with the mercy rule all game. It's going to go full 9, and we're going to win 13-5. Book it.
13 runs. I love that. How many times have we scored 13 runs this season?
I don't know. We might have to ask Josh Lytics for those figures.
We'll get Josh Lytics. A lot, not a lot. I can tell you that much. But it would be a big game tonight. That would be something to see, definitely.
All right, Mike. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Catch us here at McKeon Park, and if you can't make it to the ballpark, catch us also here on the Harbor Hawks Baseball Network on our YouTube page or on Cape League TV over on Huddle. Thank you guys so much.
Go Hawks.